Hey everybody, this is Joel. I'm here in my hot pink bedroom with the big black polka dots, and we are here for the first broadcast weekly hangout in like 3 weeks for the Dryden experiment. It's September 26th. We just have Eugene Kelly III and Tracy Vincent with us today. So we're just going to kind of do a rundown of where we are and what's going on for folks who are not able to join the meeting but want to come back and look later. We always have a half dozen or a dozen of those, so let's make sure and just kind of bring everybody up to date. Tracy and Eugene, how are you this evening?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm just groovy, Eugene.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome, fabulous. All right, so this week the big news is almost all in sci-fi. So let's actually sort of work towards sci-fi. The Periogen environment, which is our fantasy environment, continues to work and is in development, but the driving force behind that is Nick Mull from Owlman, and as we'll see when we get to sci-fi, the Big Damn Dryden role-playing game is about to come out, and it's got Nick really tied up. I have not heard any interesting notes about a Periogen this week. Have either of you heard anything?
No, I haven't.
All right, well, so that was a Periogen. Looking at APOC, we actually have some very interesting stuff going on in APOC. That's our post-apocalypse genre. I have been approached twice this week by two different authors who want to do full novels in the apocalypse setting. So that's really exciting. Those are independent, freestanding novels and not part of compilations or anything else that's going on. Both of those are in early development, so we're looking at mid to late 2016 at the earliest before we would put either of them in print. But it's really exciting to note that the APOC genre is alive and well. And if any of you are interested in that apocalypse genre, I would suggest that you come in and talk. Tracy, can I refer people interested in apocalypse to you?
Sure.
Awesome. That is a really cool environment, and it's starting to have some more shape to it. As you know, Lorelei, You'll Never Die was our first book in that genre, which was written by Laura Conrad and edited by our very own Tracy. And I'm excited to see more progress. Not a lot to report at a weekly update, though, except that we've been approached about 2 different novels in it. So, yay! And that's APOC, unless, Tracy, did you want to say anything else about APOC?
No, that's good.
All right. Then steampunk is brewing in the background, our Dryden steampunk environment. There continues to be a lot of sort of shifting and movement. What we're really waiting on there is Smikey Vessa, who is sort of the goddess of the steampunk universe, is very busy with classes right now and asked if we could come back at the end of October. So steampunk is probably going to be quiet for about another month, but not real quiet. Don Van Osdol continues to talk about it. Damien Rocha continues to talk about it. I want to write in it. We had a very interesting proposal about steampunk reggae and what that might look like, or raga. Rastapunk. Or Dread Steam was the other name that was proposed.
Yeah, it sounds like too much of a horror steam.
So the steampunk genre is alive and well. I haven't heard lately from Anya Bogus about the translation of Aether Hertz. She's still around and talking to us. I just haven't had an update lately. Did I miss anything on Dryden Steam?
No.
All right.
Not that I can think of.
All right, and then sort of our champion of horror is here, Eugene Kelly, kind of the head guy when it comes to the horror universe. So, Eugene, you want to talk about what's going on with horror these days?
Okay. For the last couple of days, I've been kind of hung up on some stuff, but I do have stuff going on. I've got a short story. One thing I said is I talked a little bit earlier. I have my own separate sort of mixture of sci-fi and weird stuff going on, which I've been doing for years. Which I've been doing stuff with about 2 years. When I joined Dryden, I kind of put it aside, but then I thought about bringing it back and putting it in Dryden. But at this moment, I think I'm just going to leave it separate for now. I think maybe I'll put in the future, but things I've got a large concept for it and very specific about some things and characters and stuff. I'm really not comfortable putting it in Creative Commons yet. So it may come in there sometime. It may not. So for the moment, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it aside. But then in terms of stuff, what's going on in Dryden? First of all, I do have a short story that I'm working on. I kind of got a little slowed down. I've got several. I've got well over like I mean about 2,500 words. Um, so that's coming along. One thing I am starting to work on though is I have started to write the first 2 or 3 pages of the very first novel I'm working on. It's
Awesome.
called the series is going to be called Venomous Vortex. Um, and I'm not quite sure what the first book is. One of the books is going to be called At the Right Hand of Fire, and another book is going to be called In the Court of the Genies. Um, I'm not quite. I mean, the ideas are really coming to be hard and fast. I'm trying to really that's a big thing. I'm trying to funnel all this stuff in. But it's gonna have the mixture of it's gonna have the dark gods in there, but it's gonna be action. There's gonna be sci-fi in there. It's really not gonna be. I can't really. It's. I mean, the best word I can try for it is weird fiction, which is kind of stuff. Clark Ashton Smith, H.P. Lovecraft type stuff with a heavy action vibe in it. Um,
Awesome. Awesome.
Sort of a seamless mixture between technology and sort of supernatural stuff and biologics. A lot of like bright, colorful, psychedelic imagery. So I'm working on that. I've got a lot of ideas. I really need to just form it out. Once for you guys, once I get the first the intro scene done, I'll send it out to you guys to look at. I mean, it's really not the core event. It is a core event, but it's sort of setting the scene for just for the first book, and you'll definitely see shades of what you may have seen a little bit in Rise of Europan, but it's going to be very different in many other ways. So I'll send out that first sample once it's done. But yeah, that's what's going on, and let me try to think of anything else going on. I do have some other short stories kind of floating around right now, which I put aside. I want to get back to them soon, though. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stories I've got floating around, but right now I'm focusing on that one short story and the beginning of Venom's Vortex.
Awesome. Excellent stuff. I look forward to seeing that first sample. That's going to be exciting. The other thing that I wanted to make sure and call out in horror, I want to extend a big welcome to Fluffy Sama. We talked to Fluffy Sama for the first time. Help me, Eugene, 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
I think it's probably about 5 days ago.
My sense of time gets a little bit warped, as people frequently mock me for. But we were really excited to talk to Fluffy Sama. Fluffy Sama definitely had the right vibe and was very enthusiastic and really embraced the Creative Commons model, and we agreed to talk again in another week. So sometime during the first week of October, we'll try to get together for a horror discussion. The kind of cool thing that's happening in secret there, or without a whole lot of attention, is that we're actually making a lot of progress on Welcome to the Nightmares, or whatever the title of our first compilation is. Eugene has 2 stories that definitely fit in for the compilation, as well as the core story. Damian Roach has a story that I think that he wants to bring in, and maybe the first part of a series that he wants to do. He might introduce the teaser. I kind of want to write one. I haven't written a horror story in years, and I'm feeling all jealous of you guys getting to play around with entrails and stuff. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm kind of cooking on Welcome to the Nightmares myself. So if we bring Fluffy Sama in there, we're actually looking at a total of 7 or 8 short stories. We're getting sort of in shape to actually have a Welcome to the Nightmares compilation put together sometime in earlier mid-2016, maybe. I don't really know. But I sort of have this feeling that we're just going to kind of look around one day and go, wait a minute, you guys. We're there. We're ready to go. So that's exciting. We'd be bringing in a total of 4 authors if we didn't pick anybody else up with a horror story, and a total of 6 or 7 stories out of those authors. I think it's going to happen. we were a little frustrated when we did our original outreach for Welcome to the Nightmares. Several people came and wanted to talk to us, and then nobody actually showed up for the meeting. Or nobody knew, I guess I should say. We old Dryden heads, as we were all there, but we didn't manage to bring any of the new people with us. But we are making progress very quietly and without a great deal of fuss, and that's very cool. So definitely welcome to Fluffy Sama. We look very forward to taking a look at his work, and we're closer than we think we are. So good news happening quietly in Nightmares. Anything that I missed?
Oh, there is one thing I'd like to say.
Yeah.
For the first compilation, I am starting to look around for I think artists for, because I
Right.
want it to be something really like you look at it and you want to buy it. Something that really just jumps out and grabs you, and that
Right.
really conveys what kind of universe this is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to look around for, say on DeviantArt and such, for really good, because I mean there are lots on DeviantArt. I mean, my goodness. But I have some ideas in mind. I sent you off some good artists, but yeah, because when someone looks at this cover, they're like, wow, that's amazing. I want to pick that up. So yeah, that's one thing I'm also looking at.
And I actually had a conversation with Gavin a couple of days ago about the possibility of bringing in art. You know, he's been supplying a lot of our art, but he was really, really cool that if we found an image that we liked and we were like, this is what we need, he would work with us to get the sort of high-quality layout that has become sort of standard for Dryden applied to that image. So we're certainly open to talking to an artist if you found something that you were really excited about. So very
It'd be
cool.
no different than what he did with Lorelei.
That's exactly right. Tracy built that image for Lorelei, and Gavin got it laid out and got the back cover on it and all the logos on it, and really took good care of it. So very exciting. All right, well, look at that. We have gone through 4 genres in 6 minutes. That's amazing. Well, maybe a little longer than that. But where we are this week is in the science fiction universe. We started with the science fiction universe. It is growing just faster than any of the others, which makes sense because it's got a lot more traction than the others, being the oldest. And it's in exciting and interesting shape. So let's start with the big news. Oh my God, it's out. It's available. You can buy it. Finally, we have seen the Eclipsing of Cyrus C for sale on iBooks. Am I right? Was it iBooks that we saw it first?
All I know about is Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
No, I think he did say it was on iBooks, but it was really hard to get to.
Right.
But he sent us to Barnes and Noble.
It is now on Barnes & Noble and should continue to populate out into the environment. Tracy and I are both going to dedicate time this next week to promoting it. Tracy is building images for it right now so that we have teaser images to go with the Barnes & Noble link. Everybody, I read Eclipsing of Cyrus C when it was in draft form, and I really enjoy it. If you've read any of Dan's stuff from Rise of the Europan, or if you read Revenge when he released that, or Lucky Man, or any of those stories, Dan's hot stuff. I tell a lot of people that he reminds me of Joseph Halderman in his writing, and not in all ways, but Joseph Halderman actually served as, I believe, a sapper in Korea, and when he wrote about the military experience in a science fiction environment, he really understood the military experience. And Dan served in the Army and in the I can't remember the name of the organization that he's a part of now.
He's a secret agent, man. We'll just leave it at that.
He is a secret agent. He is a part of the service that provides security to diplomats and foreign officials. And
You shall go no further. You don't want to die.
But he very much understands the military experience, and he also has this kind of knack for cinematographics. Man, he stops and sets the environment, and it's spaceships and planets flying around through the air and exciting things happening, and I get all wrapped up in it. I want to strongly recommend Eclipsing of Cyrus C to anybody who is interested in it, interested in sci-fi, interested in what Dryden is doing. I think the Kobo version is $2.99. I want to say. Let's see if I have the link up. Definitely worth $2.99 or $3.99, whatever the hell it is. I don't still have the link up.
I think it's $3.99. I think.
There it is. I found it.
Yay!
And it is $3.99 in book form. If you want a hardback, it's $19.46. So, go for that. And I'm sure that Dan would work with you to get that signed, even if you could find him. He's in St. Louis now. Shh, sorry, I gave away the location of one of our agents.
That's
All right,
right.
so Eclipsing Osiris C, we waited a long time for it, and I'm really excited to see it. I have also now read the draft of the last of the short stories for his short story collection, which was going to be called Songs of Distant Stars, but the name has now changed. So we have one in hand and another one on the way. All of those short stories will also be set in the Dryden science fiction universe. It's very, very cool. He writes about the First Resource War in one of his stories. He writes about the first attempt at a permanent colony on Mars. I haven't actually read that story yet. So he is really going in and putting in pieces of the science fiction universe and doing it with just great fiction. Tracy and Eugene, you've both read his story from Rise of the Europa, and I think you'll back me up that's really enjoyable. Yeah.
I've also gotten halfway through Eclipsing of Cersei.
Da, 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 da. So he's one of the authors that we really enjoy working with. He's been with Dryden since very early on, and we're really excited to see Eclipsing out and available. So Tracy and I will be spending a portion of next week doing nothing but pimping Eclipsing to try to get it off to a good start. So. All right. Then the next thing that I have on my list is the Big Damn Dryden role-playing game. Is just almost in print.
Next week. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Next week.
Next
October
week.
3rd is the official
1
release.
week today.
Yes. We ran into some printing problems. We were able to publish it exactly as we wanted on Drive-Thru RPG and RPG Now. Getting it onto Amazon, we had to tear out some of the formatting. I don't understand quite what the issue is, and I'm going to go back and have another swing at that before the end of next week. But the important thing is that we will have a presence on Amazon. It just won't be as purdy. All the words are still there. We just had to tear some of the purdy out of it to get it onto Amazon. We will also be available.
Amazon was jealous.
Amazon, we were just purtier than Amazon, and they
That's
got
right.
jealous.
We did more than what they could, so they're like, "Oh no, we can't be having that."
Well, we had gotten pretty cool on the layout. If you guys get a chance to see the PDF version of the game on RPG Now, or if you've seen the introductory version of the game, we had put a lot of purdy in there. We had bookmarks and background images and all sorts of fun things. And somehow we managed to upset the formatting. Or automatic formatting tools that we were using to try to get it on Amazon. But it will be there, it just won't be the version, the Purdy version. So later, people will be selling the Purdy version on eBay for thousands of dollars more, I'm sure, unless the unattractive version is rarer, and then everybody will be trying to buy the unattractive version. Anyway, we're almost there. The Kickstarter is fully funded and continues to occasionally pick up new funders, and thank you very much to all of our funders. We have actually switched focus, though, on Kickstarter and are encouraging people to back MoteCon. MoteCon is an independent convention that is happening, oh boy, I've lost the name of the city again, in North Carolina. Here in a couple of months, and we started up a friendship with Russell, who is in charge out there. Russell is a fan of Big Damn Dryden, and we are going to make a what was the pre-release version and will now be the introductory version of Big Damn Dryden, available to all attendees of MoteCon, and also available to anyone who funds.
Is it in Wake Forest?
Maybe. You can Google MoteCon.
Yeah, I will.
Oh.
Actually, I'll do it while you talk.
I done it.
Oh, well, let's see how you are.
Well, they're Piedmont's there we go, Youngsville. They're in Youngsville, North Carolina. And they will be playing Big Damn Dryden at Youngsville at MoteCon. So we're encouraging people to get behind their Kickstarter and fund them. I mean, not that we wouldn't love to have another, $50,000 put into our Kickstarter, but we're fully funded. And Dryden's model is once you have enough, you turn around and help somebody else. So our Kickstarter's funded. Big Damn Dryden will be launching on time. No issues there. So we are encouraging people to support MoteCon. The other thing that is happening with Big Damn Dryden is if we reach the $500 mark, we will also be giving a free copy of The Bleeding Mind to everybody who backed us. I don't know if we'll meet that goal or not. I think we probably will. And if not, The Bleeding Mind is going to come out anyway. We just won't be giving it away for free to Kickstarter backers. The Bleeding Mind is really exciting because it adds psychic rules to the Dryden sci-fi universe, and it is frankly creepy. I mean, it is not your mama's psychic rules. I can remember the psychic rules from AD&D, and they weren't very exciting. Nick has a real kind of eye for mood and tempo, and psychic rules in Big Damn Dryden may just drive your character completely insane. The Manhattan, Kansas group has been playtesting the psychic rules, and one of their characters is completely out of her mind. That's Posey run by Chelsea, and Chelsea, you're doing a great job. That's really twisted. So we're having big fun with that. We also have started talking about expansions to Big Damn Dryden, both in terms of scenarios that will be available for PDF just for 99 cents a piece, just a real quick one-off, and other rule set expansions. We may expand and explore the Ile Solitaire. We may expand and do a full expansion into corporations. The Federation and the Consortium, which appear in Dan Hunt's novel Eclipsing of Cyrus C, may get their own rules expansion. Omega Ball, which Nick originally wrote for Big Damn Sci-Fi, is going to be coming into Big Damn Dryden as a rule expansion. So we are really looking at expanding Big Damn Dryden and going to be doing so very quickly. There's a lot happening there. The other thing that we are doing is Don Van Osdal will be hosting a con there in Salmon, Idaho here in a couple of months, and they will also all be receiving a free copy of the introductory version of Big Damn Dryden. And that version is really pretty cool. We send it out as a PDF, and it's the entire game except for character creation and character background. And instead of those, it comes with a pre-built scenario and pre-built characters. So it is completely playable. You can take that PDF and read through it and set up the scenario, hand your players characters, and be playing that fast. It's really cool. And Nick is being incredibly generous about being willing to share that with folks as a way to get the word out about Big Damn Dryden and about the rest of what Dryden's doing. So we're very, very happy about that. All right, 2 more things going on in Dryden, and then we are done for the day. The next thing that's coming is Rise of the Europan. Tracy, I don't know if you know this, but Dan and I had a conversation about the timeline, and we actually want to push Rise of the Europan back to the year 2700 instead of the year 2600, just so we've got an empty century in there for the corporations to do their nastiness between Big Damn Dryden, which happens in 2503, and the end of the primer. And I agreed with him that I thought that was a good idea. So we may find in Rise of the Europan references to the year 2600. Those will just need to be amended to 2700.
Well, I guess you're kind of in luck. My story don't have mention of the year at all.
I don't think anybody's does. I think that
No,
I
I
put
don't
it in
think
the
so.
introduction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's happening in the year 2700 instead of 2600. Eugene's story is in Rise of the European, and we are in editing.
Mhm.
Right.
Tracy, do you want to talk about that process a little bit so anybody who wrote a story and is wondering where their story is now, or Eugene, will understand better what's going on?
Okay. I've got all the stories, and what basically is going on is that I've gone through for content and I've marked issues with stories where the content doesn't quite mesh. And so we'll all have little tweaks that we'll have to put into our stories to mesh them up as far as like time frame. Timing is the biggest thing. But
Right.
other than that, what I tend to do is I tend to find the biggest glaring issues and work on them first. And then the next time I go through it, there'll be other things that'll show up and I'll go on them until finally we get a much tighter product. But to be honest, other than just reading through it the one time and figuring out that we do have a timing flaw, I've not really touched the editing on it, but I'll start that on Monday because right now my focus is on Alder's World.
Alder's
I
World.
know, and that's the next thing you're going to talk about.
Da-da-da-da.
But yeah, right now my focus is on it because its due date is sooner. I have more
That's
time to
right.
play with Rise of the Open, so
So going
yeah.
back for folks that maybe are not as familiar with Rise of the European, and I should have done this, there is a significant event in human history in the year 2700 when the life form, the intelligent life form that lives in the undersea ocean of Europa, of Jupiter's moon Europa, decides that it's had enough and it's ready to throw the humans off the planet. It comes as a complete surprise to the humans. And rather than tell it as a single story, though, we had a whole lot of authors that we were working with and that we were excited to work with, and we invited people to tell their version of the story. So we got some really exciting stuff. Dan, that we've been talking about, wrote a story that actually happens before the beginning, before the European acts, when the European is getting ready. Don Van Osdal writes a story that is sort of the first time that humans know that something has gone wrong. Kitty Sarkozy writes a story during the experience. Damien Roach, I'm getting worse, not better, wrote a story about the Marines and their experiences on the planet's surface. Eugene actually wrote the story from the perspective of the European, which is very exciting, but is proving to be the most complicated in terms of getting things to mesh. And then Tracy wrote a story that actually happens after the event. So we have a total of
Not
6
even on
authors.
Europa.
It's not even on Europa. Neither is Dan's story. So we brought in 6 completely different authors. We didn't tell them what to write, and we ended up with this really fascinating sequence. And what happened before Tracy got it is that I went and put them together and did a very sort of rough cut. There were a couple of things that just obviously didn't match, and I cut here and chopped there and stuck them together. And then I sent it literally as just a big mock-up to Tracy and said, okay, check me for sanity. And what is happening is that now as Tracy takes the project over and sort of begins to bring it up to speed on the editing, we're approaching authors and sort of talking to them about this goes or this doesn't go, or we have this problem with this date, or we have a sequence issue. And once we are pretty happy with that, then it will really go entirely to Tracy to decide when to send a copy to everybody, how to handle line edits, and then we'll get into pre-production. We'll start talking to Gavin about the final for the cover and what we want on the back of the cover. We'll get into line edits. We'll get into pre-release materials. We'll get into the ARC process to get reviewers copies of the book ahead of release. So we need a couple more weeks of kind of not a lot that people can see happening.
But a lot is going on.
A lot is going on. You just can't see it, and then very quickly it will reemerge into the light of day. I think it's really exciting, and I want to say a special praise to Tracy. It requires a certain kind of delicacy to go to an author and go, we really love this, but we need to change it. And I've proven to not always be entirely graceful about that. Tracy is far better than me at not coming off sounding like a complete asshole. So, not that I'm a complete asshole or anything. I just tend to kind of go, yeah, well, I cut that. And people are like, but I love
No,
that.
you
I'm
were
like,
like,
not anymore.
it needs to go in the garbage.
I did not say that.
You did.
I never said that. That is the worst extrapolation ever. Anyway.
Jolie said my stuff was garbage.
It's terrible, and yet here you still are. I think it says something about your narcissistic need for self-death. A big word that goes in there.
You're saying I'm a masochist.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking
no,
for.
I'm not. I'm not. I just proved you wrong.
All right, not to get entirely sidetracked, but Rise of the European is very busy right now, but not very visible right now. And part of the reason for that is because it has a release date that is after Alder's World Part 2.
Yes.
Tracy, you want to talk about where Alder's World Part 2 is? Let me first say Alder's World Part 2 is the book that I'm working on in the Dryden science fiction universe. Part 1 was released earlier this year. Part 2 is due out the second week of October or the last week of October?
The last of October.
The last week of October, and we are hot after that story. So, Tracy, why don't you tell us where we are with Alder's World 2?
We are in, like, third, fourth round line edits.
So we're close.
A line editing process, I do it over and over. I can almost probably quote the book to you. But what I do is I go through and I line edit, and then I put it away for a few days, and then I'll come back to it, and I'll go over it again to see if I've missed anything, and then I'll put it away for a few days, and I'll come back to it, and then the last 2 times I do the line edits, I generally do them back to back because at that point I pretty much have it.
Right.
But even at this late in the game, I still find stuff that I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, and I'll have to call Joel and go, dude, are we sure the time is right on this?
Tracy called me today and said, in Chapter 16 you said it had been 10 years, and in Chapter 17 you said it had been 13 years. Which one is it?
Right.
Oh, well, as the author, I felt free to manipulate time. Yeah, I was wrong. I wrote 2 different times down. I also had a character who died in Book 1 playing a pretty significant role in Book 2, so that was problematic.
But then you just invented a new character in Book 2.
Which one did I invent?
Mulk.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Instead of Muck, it is Mulk.
Yep. I just changed one of the characters' names.
Yeah.
It's a bug.
So yeah, I mean, but right now we're at the last couple of line edits because there's not much that I actually had to do today, and so you'll be getting that back on Monday. What I will suggest is that you go through it and read it carefully, make sure it says what exactly you want it to say,
right.
And then from there we just go to format and wait. And I'll go through and I'll build teachers and stuff. You know, I'll do all that.
Formatting will not be difficult at all.
No, because
straight text.
We got to hit your ARCs up within the next 2 weeks.
And speaking of ARCs, anyone who would like to get a free pre-peek at Alder's World 2, I believe that the rule is you don't have to have a blog, you just have to be willing to write it and post a review.
On Goodreads and Amazon at least.
Okay, so anybody who sees this and would like to get a first look at Alder's World 2, it is not too early to request a copy if you are willing to do reviews. If you have a blog, that's even cooler, but we don't discriminate against people who don't have blogs. So Alder's World 2. And that is everything that I wanted to bring. I sort of feel like I'm missing something out of sci-fi. Is somebody working in sci-fi that I'm not paying attention to, Tracy? Eclipsing, Big Damn Dryden, Rise of the European, Alder's World 2, Dan's short story collection is coming. Greta has not released anything new recently.
I just want to say that what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, for anyone who isn't quite familiar with Alder's World Part 1, I would highly recommend reading it because I've only read part of it so far, but it's really fast paced. You really get into characters, and yeah, I just want to put that out there as someone who it was actually the first. You can listen to a clip of it on YouTube. It was
That's right.
the first piece of broad literature I ever got into, I ever heard or read or whatever, and it really inspired me to want to join this group. And I realized that this is a group of high quality authors.
Thank you very much. I owe Eugene $5.
Hey, now wait a minute. I give you good reviews. I did before I started working for you. Now I can't do it at all, but
That's true. That's true.
you got free and
How about that?
reviews.
Okay, so 3 things. All hail Queen Tracy. Second thing, thank you very much for the reference, Eugene. The clip that Eugene is referring to is available on YouTube. It is Chapter 1 of Alder's World, Part 1, read by me.
But don't forget, it's free on Smashwords.
That was part number 3. We have the entire text of book 1 available in ebook form on Smashwords. So stop by Smashwords and search for Alder's World. And if any of you on the planet can figure out how to get Goodreads to load the book cover, it still doesn't have the book cover loaded on Goodreads, and it won't let me do it because I don't have appropriate authority. So anybody who understands how to get that accomplished, you would have my blessing and praise forever. Yes, they still just have the cover. And that was the other thing that was bugging me, is that you can actually pick up Alder's World Part 1 for free right now as a promotion ahead of the release of Part 2. So awesome. I'm about to kill the broadcast. You two are both welcome to hang and chat. We've got other things to BS about, but I believe that we have provided all the essential information that one of our members who wanted to come back later in the week and see what was going on would need in order to know where we were. Is that accurate? Do you agree?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm Joel. This is my hot pink bedroom, and this has been the weekly update with the big black polka dots. And this has been the weekly update for the Dryden experiment. Thanks for joining us.